This is a quick unit on how to approach a second additional language in the classroom. So let's look at it practically. There are 3 different steps on your screen, and the first step we're going to look at is a teacher-centered approach. And what you need to remember now is this is the stage where the skill is being established. So the teacher will do a lot of the support and the guidance, and maybe there's not too much interaction or response from the actual learners. They're listening and learning and figuring things out, and they're getting a lot of guidance from the teacher. Next, and this is all done in your planning, the next stage of developing the skill that you've introduced is then to reduce the amount of support from the teacher, and this is done through a group-centered approach. So although the teacher's trying to take a step back to let the learners work and develop the skill independently, they're still working in groups and getting support from one another. So this is the stage where they would reinforce the skill. The third stage that you want to get the learners to is a learner-centered approach. And this is really where they've had multiple opportunities to learn and demonstrate the skill, and finally they are able to apply the skill on their own. So when you're doing your planning, remember we talked about the varying degrees of independence, and this is the model that we're working on. It's teacher-centered, lots of support by the teacher, slowly moves to less support by the teacher, but still supported by a group of learners for guidance. And of course the teacher can intervene and help. And then lastly, learner-centered, where you almost want to see, is the learner capable of demonstrating the skill on their own? How much have they mastered? Have they mastered it? Or do they still need a lot of support? Now the red dots in between the different stages all lead to informal assessment. And CAP stipulates that a second additional language is only to use in formal assessment. And informal assessment is done on a continuous and ongoing basis. So you don't want to wait till the end. You want to assess the learners informally in between the stages to see how well they've grasped it. Can you move to the next stage? Do you need to stay where you are and maybe work on it a little bit more? Like I said, this is a very short unit, and what I want to leave you with is a quote from Albert Einstein that said, "I never teach my pupils, I only attempt to provide the conditions in which they can learn."